We are jumping straight into the deep end today. We're looking at a stack of source material giving us really unprecedented access into Rosebrook Falls.
Right, a place where generational wealth and, let's be honest, corruption are basically the town's foundations.
Exactly. So our mission here is to untangle this incredibly bitter rivalry between the Calloways and the Montgomerys. And we're focusing on some pretty interesting documents.
Yeah, everything from, like, private journals and personal notes all the way to these wild local tabloid headlines. The Rosebrook rag, I think?
That's the one. Hilarious but revealing.
Totally. But what's really critical, beyond just the plot twists, is the insight into how this kind of extreme power works. It seems to demand total suppression of truth.
And often sacrifices the kids, the next generation of these dynasties.
We're tracking a huge conspiracy here, secret identities popping up, and this forbidden romance between Juliette Calloway and Roman Montgomery. They're the ones caught right in the middle.
It seriously reads like some kind of modern Gothic story. You've got high-stakes political games that are really just covering up years and years of buried secrets.
Two families locked in this death match. And the kids, Juliette and Roman, they're forced to deal with the legacies their parents either weaponized or tried to bury.
Okay, so let's maybe unpack the setting first and the main players.
Right, Rosebrook Falls. The sources describe it as, well, almost literally cursed. It's a place where money lets corruption just run rampant, completely unchecked.
And the Calloways are the dominant force.
Oh, absolutely. They control local politics. They're backing the current mayor, Pengrove, and they basically own the business landscape.
Yeah.
Their power feels absolute in these texts.
And that power structure produces Juliette Calloway, the golden girl, right? But the sources really hammer home her struggle.
Yeah, she's constantly trying to maintain this polished, palatable version of herself that the family demands.
She's a writer, but she's like hiding in dark corners of her own mansion, just to scribble down her real thoughts, desperate to escape.
That image, it says so much, doesn't it? Her whole identity is just stifled. And her future seems completely mapped out for her, too.
The engagement to Preston Ascot.
Exactly. Which the sources frame not as romance, but as cold, calculated political maneuvering. Basically, a corporate merger to lock in Calloway dominance.
Wow. So turning marriage into just another political asset, that's incredibly bleak. Is that the real cost of legacy in Rosebrook?
It seems to be. It's the price of maintaining that kind of power. Now, contrast her situation with Roman Montgomery. He's the other half of this magnetic pull.
When we first meet him, he's not even Roman Montgomery, right? He's a writer. Or Trouble.
Yeah, going by writer, sometimes Trouble. He's this enigmatic street artist tagging RMO everywhere. And for years, the town elite actually believed he was dead.
And the sources dig into that. He's the result of Marcus Montgomery's affair with Heather Argent.
Right. And Roman's life, unlike Juliette's, isn't about legacy at all. It's pure survival. His main drive, consistently, is protecting his sister, Brooklyn.
She is chronically ill, and her medical needs, they seem to drive every single risky move he makes. It's all about the money for her care.
Which makes their connection, Roman and Juliette's, even more fascinating. It's immediate. It's chaotic. Remember how they meet?
He saves her at Upside Down Rock, that big landmark.
Yeah, that massive stone overlook. Kind of symbolic, isn't it? How upside down the town's morals are.
And the chemistry is described as instant. Her journals call it chaos and comfort.
And he gives her those nicknames right away. Princess. Little Rose. Very possessive, very specific.
But that's where the art comes in, too, and it feels almost prophetic.
Absolutely. Roman's art becomes completely focused on her. He actually says he wants to paint Juliette into everything.
We see that with the rose tag, the one that says, "And with her kiss, I die."
Yeah. Even the romance itself is framed by the sources as potentially destructive. Like their union is destined to either tear down the whole system or maybe get swallowed by it.
Okay, so this brings us to how these two become pawns in the bigger game. The Calloways hate the Montgomery name, we know that.
Yeah.
But the big shocker is what Roman's father, Marcus, did.
Right. Marcus didn't just, let Roman disappear. He actively faked Roman's death years ago.
And his private notes say why.
According to those notes, it wasn't really about protection in the usual sense. It was a calculated long-term play for the Montgomery legacy. He claimed he had to hide Roman from Calloway assassination attempts so Roman could come back later, quote, old enough to hold his own and take over.
Wait, he faked his son's death as an investment strategy.
Essentially, yes. It confirms Roman was always meant to be a weapon in this feud.
And that cynical strategy pays off because Roman, desperate for money and insurance for Brooklyn, is forced back into the open. He has to accept being the secret son shocker heir.
He literally trades his anonymity, his freedom for his sister's health. It's a brutal choice.
And Juliette faces the same kind of coercion, just from her side. She's dragged back from college, misses her own graduation.
To be the dutiful daughter at a Calloway political fundraiser for Mayor Pengrove, instantly slotted back into being a political puppet for her mother's ambitions.
So the moment Roman reappears, the Rosebrook rag goes wild, obviously.
Oh yeah, headlines everywhere. And his art immediately becomes part of the conflict. He's forced to use it as, like, propaganda for Marcus.
We see the Hands of Ruin mural show up on the Round Table Tavern. Pretty dark.
But the really pointed one, the one that declares war almost, is the Calloway Puppet Master mural, right on City Hall.
Showing Craig Calloway pulling Mayor Pengrove's strings.
Exactly. Roman's trapped. The art that drew Juliette in is now being weaponized in this power game he clearly despises.
But that public defiance, that mural, it wasn't just Roman lashing out randomly. He was actually an unwitting piece in a much larger scheme, wasn't he?
Precisely. He was being moved by the real architect of this whole conspiracy. And this is where it gets really twisted, because the mastermind turns out to be the one person who seemed trustworthy.
Frederick Lawrence, the family lawyer for both sides.
Frederick was the ultimate double agent, served both the Calloways and Montgomerys, looking totally impartial. But the sources drop a bombshell about his connection.
Which is?
He's the secret half-brother of Marcus Montgomery's late wife, Eleanor Voltaire. That blood tie makes his whole impartial lawyer act a complete sham.
Okay, wow. So what was his motive? Just blowing everything up?
It seems like it was vengeance mixed with this weird sense of purification. He claims Marcus killed Eleanor, his half-sister, and he wanted to basically cleanse Rosebrook by destroying both families.
And he wasn't working alone?
No, he was collaborating with Heather Argent, Roman's mother. They set the stage for Roman's return, knowing it would trigger chaos.
The level of betrayal there is just staggering.
Yeah.
Frederick helped Marcus hide Roman years ago, built that trust.
And then used that exact secret knowledge against everyone, manipulating both families towards ruin. It's Machiavellian.
So this all comes to a head very violently. Marcus Montgomery ends up dead.
Yeah, the sources are a bit ambiguous. Maybe suicide, maybe illness accelerated by stress. But right after that, Frederick makes his move.
A frame up.
He tries to pin the shooting of Pilar Balt, Juliette's cousin, squarely on Roman.
But the journals clarified that wasn't Roman.
Right. Journals indicate it was actually Benjamin Voltaire who fired the shot during some kind of confrontation. But Frederick didn't care about the truth. His real endgame was using Juliette to lure Roman out.
Using Roman's one vulnerability.
Exactly. He orchestrates this near upside-down rock, again, that symbolic spot. He uses Heather Argent to drug Juliette, tries to kidnap her.
Knowing Roman, the guy who calls her Little Rose, would walk right into any trap to save her.
Which leads to the climax, and Roman finds himself working with a really unexpected ally.
Lance Calloway, Juliette's brother.
Yeah. Lance had apparently been tangled up with Frederick, trying to find his own escape route from the Calloway machine, but he drew the line at hurting Juliette.
So Roman and Lance confront Frederick together.
They do. And it ends Frederick's manipulation for good. Leads to his death, effectively ending the conspiracy he orchestrated.
So pulling back, looking at the aftermath, Frederick Lawrence is exposed. The whole tangled mess unravels.
And Roman, standing in the middle of all this wreckage, finally secures what he needed from the start. Brooklyn's trust fund and her health insurance are safe.
And crucially, he rejects the whole legacy thing his father wanted. He basically tells Frederick's memory, I only want Juliette.
Right, which sets up this new, maybe fragile status quo in Rosebrook Falls. Roman reluctantly takes over the Montgomery Empire.
Admitting in one source he has no idea of what the hell everyone does, which is kind of funny.
A little bit, yeah. Meanwhile, Paxton Calloway, the brother who actually stood up for Juliette against their parents, he takes the reins of the Calloway business side.
So the legendary Calloway-Montgomery feud is over.
He's officially buried, yeah.
Yeah.
More out of necessity and shared trauma than any real peace accord, it seems. And Juliette makes her choice.
She chooses Roman over her family's demands. Moves into Montgomery Manor with him. Her final thought on the Calloway legacy is wanting to climb the walls they built for us.
It's an escape, definitely. But, like you said, a messy one.
Because the sources point out there are still loose ends, big ones.
Huge ones. Roman's mother, Heather, is missing. And Juliette's friend and confidant, Beverly, who also went by Cassandra, also vanished.
And the town itself. The corruption that started all this, it hasn't gone anywhere.
Not at all. They chose love, yes, but they also kind of inherited the throne, didn't they? They're now at the top of this broken system.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? The whole foundation of Rosebrook Falls was built on secrets and heartbreak. Can Roman and Juliet really escape that?
Can they escape the influence of the town, the very power structures they're now supposed to lead? Or are they just starting the next chapter of the same old story, maybe with slightly better intention?
That's the core tension moving forward, I think.
And consider this. The sources repeatedly describe their love, and Roman's art fueled by it as an obsession, something powerful enough to topple empires.
Okay.
So now they're standing on top of the combined rubble of those empires. They are, effectively, Rosebrook's new power couple, whether they like it or not.
Right.
What kind of destructive force, what kind of obsessive energy might their union unleash now, especially in a town that seems fundamentally geared towards corruption and power plays?
That's definitely something to think about. What happens when the star-crossed lovers actually win and inherit the kingdom?
Exactly. Is it a new beginning or just a prettier cage?